Domain 6 of CISSP Security Assessment and Testing. This domain talks about the security assessment and the testing techniques and the audit standards and reporting. So the domain starts with the difference between uh, understand the um difference between validation and verification and the components of security assessment. So there are basically three components. One is audits. Under audits, there is first party, internal audit, third party audit, and external audit. Internal audit is carried out by the internal members of the internal employees of the organization. External audit is carried by a vendor for the security assessment, such as VAPT audits, or you pay a vendor to come and assess or audit your environment. And the third party audit is driven by a body. It could be a regulatory body or a firm, or it can be a customer. Um, have a good understanding of the audit standards, COVID, ISO, NIST. Um, then comes the security testing. So in security testing, there is it is again further divided into runtime testing, code access review, knowledge based testing. So if the tester has the limited access or zero knowledge of the code, then it is called white box testing. If sorry, black box testing, and if the tester has no or full access to the code, then it's called white box testing, and no access, then it is called black box testing. The runtime environment testing, which is called dynamic testing, which is ran in the real environment. Um, in this testing, there is no access to the source code, and it identifies the vulnerabilities such as cross-site scripting, SQL injection, etc. Then comes the source code testing. The source code testing is where the tester has the access to the code, and it is ran against the automated scanner, and then it identifies the number of vulnerabilities in the code. Um, it can identify bugs like buffer overflow, etc., etc. Then comes fuzz testing. Fuzz testing is wherein you give the inputs to the application and just try to see the behavior of the application. Then comes the regression testing. The regression testing is where you see the new changes to the code has made no impact to the existing uh, code. So that's regarding the security testing. There is also something called as test coverage analysis. This is measured in percentage. It is the amount of code tested upon the total uh, uh, amount of code in the application. So have a fair idea about the testing techniques, because the questions it might not straightly describe like which testing is used, but what action needs to be performed and what measures should be taken while performing these techniques is very important to know. Um, uh, yeah, and it also covers about website monitoring. There is synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring. User monitoring is uh, passive monitoring where you check the behavior of the real user, and this is happening in the real time environment. And synthetic monitoring, it's the passive monitoring, and it check the preparedness of the data and a test on the results. uh, then have an understanding of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, the types of penetration testing: application, network pt, client side PT. Um, Also have a fair understanding of red teaming and blue teaming. Um, uh, Penetration methodology used by NIST, which has four phases. So it's a very simple workflow. So it starts with planning, discovery, attack, and reporting. And any critical vulnerability which is reported during the assessment should be reported at that point in time. And another very important to know with regards to the reporting is um, the reporting should be confidential and no sensitive data should be shared. Um, um should be shared outside, uh, uh, apart from the client. And the before starting any penetration testing or uh, attack simulation, senior management should be informed and approval should be taken. So these are the measures to be taken care of before performing the testing. In the vulnerability assessment, it talks about the five phases of the vulnerability: um, recon, enumeration, vulnerability assessment, the execution, and reporting. Also understand the SCAP, and all the components of the SCAP, which is CVE, CVSS, CCP, vulnerability scoring. CV, CVSS is the scoring, vulnerability scoring. CVE is vulnerability enumeration, and there are other many components of SCAP. Mm, Also, one of the very important topic in domain 6 is SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3 reports, and type 1 and type 2. I have a separate video on SOC. Um, Difference between KPI and KRI. KPI is backward looking and KRI is forward looking. KRI is key risk indicators where you identify the vulnerability and the risk associated with the vulnerability. And KPI is the performance indicator, like the number of incident solved, or MTD or MTTR, which is mean time to remediate and mean time to detection. So that comes under KPI. And lastly, understand the log management, the life cycle of the log, which is generate, transmit, store, analyze, and dispose. How the log management works, challenges in log management, and key components. So yes, this is it's a very short domain, domain 6, in CISSP, but very important when it comes to security assessment. Thank you.